Welcome back. Well, flat for the market, so let's get talking about a couple of other companies. GSK Pharmaceuticals is in focus this afternoon because they are launching a shingles vaccine in the country. Now, the name of the vaccine is Shingles, and it is basically used for herpes zoster. The interesting part about this particular vaccine is that basically it is a vaccine for adults above the age of 50. So anyone above the age of 50 can get this particular vaccine. And global data shows that 1 out of 3 people develop shingles in their lifetime. The vaccine has proven an efficacy of over 90% against shingles. To discuss this and what the potential might be, we have with us Bhushan Akshikar, who is the Managing Director of GSK Pharmaceuticals, joining in. Mr. Akshikar, thank you very much for taking the time out. Just wanted to start by asking you about the potential of this particular vaccine in a country such as India, where the adult vaccine market itself is not that developed.
Thank you very much. First of all, Dekta, pleasure to be on this show. As you rightly said, it's an evolving area. But if you look at GSK's presence in India over the last century, we brought some innovative solutions across the spectrum. We continue to be a broadly based pharmaceutical company across vaccines and pharmaceuticals. We continue to be the leaders in private pediatric vaccines. And that's exactly the space where we intend to build the next growth lever. If there is any silver lining of the COVID pandemic, it was this whole area of healthy aging and vaccination. And that's exactly where shingles and Shingrix comes into play. As you said, one of the biggest advantages of this vaccine is it is one of the most effective vaccines, 97% efficacy in people above 50 years. And it clearly is a huge unmet need. If you look at India, we have about 260 million people above the age of 50. So you can imagine the kind of opportunity this can help unlock, especially given the life expectancy going up, people wanting to take better control. Given the fact that shingles is an extremely painful condition, which can even lead to complications like post-herpetic neuralgia, shingles in the form of the first non-live vaccine being available to India in the form of Shingrix can be a fantastic opportunity. And that's exactly where we are putting our energy now.
Okay, Bhushan, just going by the numbers, Ektan, you put out, 1 in 3 patients having it, and there are 260 million patients in India, rather 260 million people in India above the age of 50. So it comes to a market of roughly 80 million people. Just wanted to understand what the pricing of this vaccine is, and how do you look to create this market in India? I mean, are you, do you have the infrastructure, the doctors, the distribution? How do you plan to tap into this?
So first and foremost, yes, adult vaccination as an area is still evolving. And what gives us confidence is clearly our ability to work across a very diverse set of stakeholders. We've just created a dedicated sales team, including opportunities in non-traditional channels beyond healthcare practitioners and hospitals. So clearly, this is going to be a big opportunity in the form of looking at how many of those 260 million people can benefit with this innovative path-breaking vaccine. Coming to the pricing, obviously for India, we will definitely have an India-specific pricing, significantly different than what you see in the Western world. We're just launching it this week, but there'll be a range of at least 30-40% lower than what you see in the other parts of the world. So that's where we see Shingrix clearly placed in terms of what value it can unlock for all those people who can benefit with this vaccine.
Some more questions from my end. A, is there enough infrastructure to reach doctors for the distribution, etc., or will some investment have to be made for this from GSK's end? And B, what is the kind of competition that you see in this space, both in India as well as globally?
So first, globally, this is GSK's biggest asset, contributes almost 3 billion pounds globally to the global revenues. More importantly, it's an evolving space, as I said. So given the infrastructure that already exists in terms of cold chain, I don't think we will have significant investments required, because we are, as I said, already the leaders in the pediatric vaccine segment. In terms of putting up the non-traditional channels where people can actually avail of this vaccination, yes, we are putting in all those measures, including at-home services, So you'll hear a lot more in the coming days and weeks in terms of how we can potentially unlock value so that people can really take charge of their own health as a part of the healthy aging.
Bhushan, just give us some numbers. In FY22, how much did you generate from your vaccine franchise in the Indian market, specifically from adult vaccines? And now with this shingles launch, how much do you probably expect to do, say, in FY24? I'm not going to touch upon the quarter gone by's numbers. So if you could just give us a larger picture that we can work with.
So as I said, Ekta, we are one of the few broadly based healthcare companies where we straddle both in the prevention space with our vaccines business and general medicines or pharmaceuticals business, including some specialty. To give you a broad sense, we have about 80% of our business coming from pharmaceuticals, whereas about 20% comes from vaccines. Moving forward, we certainly see vaccines contributing back to the growth agenda of this company, especially led by Shingles.
Just a couple of back calculations that we're doing here. A cursory search online shows that it's available for about $180 to $180 per dose or $360 for the entire vaccine outside of India. You're saying you'll sell it for 30 to 40% discount. So is $120 to $200 for the dose and the entire vaccine a range that we should be working with? That's point number one. And secondly, if that's the case, then multiply that by 8 crore Indians who might be having shingles right now, or the underlying condition that requires this vaccine right now. That makes it, what, a $1,600 market, $1,600 million market immediately?
So I think back of the envelope calculations aside, first and foremost, look, it's a priceless vaccine. The reason I say that is very often you don't get to see this kind of efficacy. 97% efficacy is something that's absolutely unique in terms of what this vaccine brings. Again, the price points that you're comparing, again, if you were to look at some of the Western markets, the price is anywhere between $350 to $500, give and take, in some of the Western markets. So, as I said, we are in the launch phase. We will have a tiered structure in terms of what channels we go after. But clearly, this will be an India-specific pricing at a certainly different pricing point compared to the prices that you just mentioned.
There are, last question from my side, Bhushan, there are a couple of vaccines, for shingles which are available globally along with yours. So do you anticipate those launches to come through in the Indian market and hence maybe competition to increase? If so, by when?
So, Ekta, first and foremost, I think we are currently the only non-live vaccine with this kind of efficacy globally available, and that makes it unique. Yes, I think certainly, including us, there are several companies looking at different platforms, including mRNA for this vaccine. But I think as we speak right now, given the strong evidence, given the strong scientific data points that we have, we certainly are at an advantage in terms of got this approval and making this vaccine available to the millions who can potentially benefit in India as of now.
Okay, we will leave it at that. Thanks a lot for joining in and all the best. That's GSK Pharma. By the way, for the market as well, just wanted to mention a couple of stocks and we will discuss that on the other side of the break too.